And that's the taint.
Really good penis.
Please like and subscribe to the Couch and the Rube YouTube channel. Also download podcast episodes wherever you get your podcasts. For sponsorship opportunities, email Jason at couchandtherube.com.
What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube, our Wednesday afternoon show, presented by our friends at Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar in Front 43 Neighborhood Pub, an outstanding place to catch a game, to have dinner with the fiance, wife, mistress, whoever it might be. They won't tell. They won't tell. Also, some very cool things they have going on. Not only do they have this new private room at Front 43 in Cask & Company, where you can have a group setting, or if you just want the room to yourself, you can reserve that. They're also doing monthly wine dinner, 3-course deals. It's really cool. Paired with all kinds of cool wines, a 3-course dinner. The next one, March 17th. You can book a reservation at caskandcompany.com in the Cask & Company dining room or the private room. And very cool opportunity there with Front 43 in Cask & Company. Jason, how you doing, brother?
People are nuts. I'm not nuts. They're nuts.
Are you raising your voice at me?
It's the American way. Except America has gotten soft.
Are you raising your voice at me?
You raising your voice at me, Couch? You raising your voice, bro?
I got a lot of problems with you people.
How's Matt Wenzel doing? That's who that was directed at, right?
It was, yeah.
Oh, man. I knew I shouldn't have went to bed right away. I knew there was going to be some sort of, with Cronin throwing his own guy out, some shenanigans where it's like Jordan texted me this morning when he saw the Cronin clip. He's like, oh, why wasn't that Couch? It would have been so great if that was you.
I dreamed of it being me. I wanted to
you
be
needed
me.
to be the guy.
I would have.
Damn it.
You know how
Would have set this show off, dude.
You know how the Seinfeld has the episode with Costanza in the jerk store where he doesn't think of what to say till later. The jerk store called and they're missing you. That famous. Anyway, I think I would have been ready for this one because Cronin is one of those guys that I don't know. He bothers me. In a lot of ways. And first of all, I think a coach's number one job is to get the most out of his team. And I don't think Mick Cronin's doing that with this group. I don't think his team connects with him. I have not seen a team with that bad of body language on the court this year, and I've seen some teams sort of look a little disinterested against MSU or get run out of the gym, and I haven't seen MSU.
It was tough to tell with
Xavier
Xavier Booker because that's how he kind of looked last year. So I didn't know if he was not connecting with Cronin.
Well, that's part of Cronin's problem began when he recruited Booker, and it's. I don't want to say no offense to Booker because it is some offense to Booker, but what I mean is the type of coach and team he wants. When you recruit a guy who doesn't have a great aggression, a big man is not aggressive and doesn't have great grit, and that's who you want to be as a team, all of a sudden your team is probably going to underachieve, and that's what's happened at UCLA. They have better talent than they are as a team, and they look like they wanted to be nowhere, or anywhere, I should say, but Breslin Center.
But is it Cronin just signed an extension, right? Is this buyout something? I mean, he's got to be on some sort of like hot seat, right?
I don't think he's going to get fired. No. I think Mick Cronin's more likely to leave and take another job. And I don't. But again, if you start to do these antics, who wants you? Who wants this?
Right.
You know, I don't know that I want this because the thing.
Want to play it, by the way?
Yeah, let's play it. Sorry.
What was your thoughts in the student section chanting Booker's name?
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
I just meant the overall the way that you.
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
All right, I'll take it.
Did you like
You should take it.
the preparation of the...
You really think I care about the other team's
No, I don't.
student
I don't
section?
think you care about the other.
Are you raising your voice at me?
No, I'm just.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Come on, dude. Come on. Yes, you are. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody. This is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, who cares?
I want to give you he couldn't think of anything. He wanted to give him Matt Wenzel an award for being a doofus or something.
So
right?
here's my thoughts.
Kudos.
A couple things. One, look, a lot of
you raising your voice at me, bro?
That's what pissed me off. A lot of coaches do this. It's the dumbest question ever. Izzo does it. Izzo does things that bother me in terms of occasionally trying to sound or intimidate questions or being angry at what's a very reasonable question.
Why don't you write something?
He did it recently with the question Larry Lage had, the AP reporter about Jeremy Fears after the Illinois game. Completely reasonable question. The difference is when Izzo's mad at Wenzel or me or Larry Lage is that he has a long-standing relationship with us, number one. And again, it doesn't always make the reaction right.
Are you raising your voice at me?
A lot of that relationship is off camera. You usually get a call from Izzo later apologizing when he does something like that. So maybe Cronin will do that. My issue was not calling it the dumbest question ever. It was an inartful question by Matt, and mostly because what he was trying to get at was
it stupid, though? Was it a stupid question? I don't know.
It was the phrasing of it that didn't have time to fully evolve. Like the idea, what he was trying to ask was, the Xavier Booker experience. What did you think of the student section chanting his name? And the question really ought to be something about how Booker coming back, how you thought he handled it. You have the anyway, but he didn't have time to get all into it because obviously right then Cronin cuts him off. I have no problem with that. The coaches do that all the time. They're snarky. This is who Cronin is. Izzo might have done the same thing. Lots of coaches like to do that. They behave like bullies in those settings. Whatever. Are you raising your voice at me? When Matt Wenzel is clearly not raising his voice. It's not even.
Are you raising your voice at me?
It's not even close. He's escalating it. He's creating a conversation. He's creating a thing. And what I wish, going back to the Seinfeld jerk store thing he had said, because this is true, I wish Matt Wenzel had just said, look, man, listen, buddy, I'm going to be covering this league a lot longer than you're going to be coaching in it. So, something like that. Because there's just.
He would have never, Cronin would have just retired after that if you said that to him.
You know what? The things that piss me off about this stuff. Like, I don't like when people look through people or are dismissive or act like they're above. Mick Cronin is no better than Matt Wenzel. He's done some things in college basketball. He's not a better human being. When you act like these are two grown men, not all that. I mean, they're a decade off in age. Like, man, just treat the other person like a human there a little bit.
When I heard it was Wenzel, I wanted to jump through the screen there and defend him. I mean, if it was any other, Fred Human or something like that, I would have laughed my dick off. He's not Matt Wenzel. How dare you, Cronin?
Wenzel's my colleague. He's my neighbor. He's my friend. I go to Hallmark parties at Matt Wenzel's house.
Bo Jackson once, so got a good track record. I just think that Cronin made the mistake of just kind of egging it. Like he could have said, "I'm giving you credit for a dumb question." Moved on. Listen to the next person's question, like he was doing. He decided to go back after it, and it was just kind of and then are you?
100%.
You raising your voice at me, bro?
That's the issue. It's not the dumbest question.
Are you raising your voice at me?
I would say the number of times a college basketball coach.
Sounds like my dad back in 1996, dude. Son, are you raising your voice at me? No, Dad. I'm sorry.
Jason, did you order all that porn?
Yeah. I learned it from you, Dad.
Are you raising your voice at me?
No, Dad, I'm not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I look, if he would have been the probably 300th college basketball coach this year to say to a reporter.
I mean, you guys do ask a lot of stupid questions. I mean, you have to give,
we
it's
do.
understandable.
We do, and a lot of times coaches give stupid answers. And a lot of times they don't listen to the full question and they don't digest what we're trying to get at. But we do have to ask better questions. It was not artfully asked. What he was trying to get at never had a chance to fully evolve. Because he wasn't asking about the student section. He was asking about the Xavier Booker experience. And, and obviously you have to be aware that a coach in an emotional setting like that is going to be difficult to get through with that stuff. So you have to ask it well. And it was not asked well. And I've asked dumb questions, and we'll continue to ask dumb questions. And I've asked inartful questions, and we'll continue to do so. And there will be times where coaches will be a little dismissive. But I think if you contrast that with a guy like Matt Painter, who gets absolutely run out. No, I don't see run out the building. They were competitive in the second half, but they got smacked around by Michigan, who was impressive last night at Purdue, right? Mm-hmm. And he was really good post game, and he was really honest and forthright, and he wasn't contentious or anything. That's how you ought to behave as a coach in defeat. And Mick Cronin is just a horse's ass at this point.
Well, out of the two things that happened, I mean, the post-game thing that we just talked about, but what about throwing out his own guy when he threw out Jamerson for the hard foul on Carson Cooper? I mean, are you offended by what Mick Cronin did or said to Wenzel? No. I mean, we can get over that.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of collectively as a thing. We've always talked about Mick Cronin being a penis, and when you add something like that, I thought throwing his own guy out would I mean, because that's not a good look for your program.
And he threw a guy who wanted to play for Michigan State. This was like some homecoming for him, a guy who was at MSU who wanted to, dreamed of being a walk-on, tried to be a student manager, didn't work out. We all heard their story there. Izzo doesn't remember him and basically said if there had been a 6'10" guy on campus, I think things might have been different if you remembered him. But whatever that story is, you embarrassed your own player in that setting. Yeah, it's much like the Jeremy Fears situation with some of the antics he was, he's gotten in trouble for.
Well, Jamerson did do it himself. I mean, the hard foul, then trying to menace, Carson Cooper.
Sit him down.
Yeah.
Sit him down. I don't have no problem with sitting him the rest of the game. Throwing him out is showing him up. And, much like Jeremy Fears and some of the antics he's pulled, it's not anything individual that Mick Cronin has done. It's the accumulation, right? It's the regularity
of things.
And
it looks like a penis in a suit.
Well,
we're just being honest. Yeah. Well, I mean, it just adds to it.
Yeah. Not everybody has a muskox flannel.
Are you raising your voice at me?
Penis face, that sort of thing. Really good penis. We're going to talk a little more Michigan State hoops here. In a little bit, we're going to have Ant Wright on, and I think.
Oh, I'm sure he was all over that.
Many of you know him, and we're going to talk some Michigan State, and Big Ten hoops with Ant, who played at Michigan, and just does a nice job dissecting basketball, and so it should be a good conversation. I thought this, Jason, was. A couple things happened last night. One, UCLA, again, didn't look like they wanted to be there, especially after Michigan State kind of put it on them early. And so there's that. They played a hand in this. I thought Michigan State played really well. And
Cohen Carr, baby.
Yeah.
I think back games.
Couple things that were important. One, it's the Cohen Carr performance, and I talked to him a little bit in the locker room. He seems in a really good place, really comfortable. And the reason that's important, even though it's a home game against a team whose defense was sometimes questionable, is that it carried over from the Wisconsin game offensively, where in a game where nothing else was really going all that well for Michigan State, he did play well offensively. So I thought that was important carryover. I think if you have him playing confident offensively down the stretch, that makes a difference for this team. I think anytime you hit 14 threes, even if it's a season high, and at one point it was like 14 for 23, I mean, it was an incredible pace beyond anything they'd done all year. At the end, they ended 14 for 27, and they had one game slightly better than that percentage-wise, maybe two. But even if it's at home, even if it's against a defense that's allowing those shots, it's never bad when a guy like Jordan Scott goes 3 for 3 for 3 and gets in a rhythm. It's never bad when Jeremy Fears hits 4 threes for you. A team whose biggest issue is consistent shooting. And again, what they did last night does not equate to consistency. It's one night, right? And it's at home against a team that would rather be in Los Angeles. But you'd rather have that than the alternative. That was a good response by Michigan State in a moment where, people were starting to think they were going to fade pretty badly, and they made it not close. They made it not competitive, and they showed they still have a hunger for this season that maybe UCLA doesn't. And I think that's really important. Are they? We saw last night why Michigan State is dangerous on a given night. You cannot count on that kind of shooting performance. But if you can start to have those nights more regularly, and that's what we'll find out down the stretch, then maybe you have a chance of getting somewhere. Because ultimately, the best case for Michigan State, I think, is like a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, which allows them to avoid these elite number 1 seeds in the Sweet 16. But you get to the Sweet 16 without just being who you are, playing a 14 seed and a 6 seed, and you are better than them, and being who you are, it's enough. But once you get to the Sweet 16 and you're playing a 2 seed and then a 1 seed, again, I think on a given day they are 100% capable of winning that game. The question is, can you do it twice in a row? And to win a national championship, of course, takes 4 times in a row, and you're doing it in the landscape of college basketball that maybe the top of college basketball is just so good right now. And so that's very difficult. But the more they have games like that, and so it has to start with 1, and they've had some others where they've shot okay, but if they can string some together, they can show some consistency. If individual players like Cohen Carr or Jordan Scott start to really take a step up and elevate, maybe they have a chance to win a couple of them, and then that's how you get to the Final Four, and who knows. But that's where last night has value, but otherwise UCLA.
Well, last night has value because the guys got into rhythm, like you mentioned, but it's kind of fool's gold because you are at home and you want to see it on the road. Like next week, Purdue, Indiana, when those games are on the road like that, that's when you want to see a performance like last night to know maybe this could be real. I just, like you said, UCLA had no fight in them whatsoever, so it's hard to take anything from that game last night other than Cohen Carr. Back-to-back games. But
yeah, and in Ohio State, the team that got next on Sunday just thumped Wisconsin, who couldn't hit a shot. I mean, that's sort of college basketball in a nutshell, right? Wisconsin goes like 6 for 23 for 3 after hitting 1 million shots at home. And that's not like – this was the outlier for Wisconsin. They hit 15 threes against Michigan and Illinois and beat them on the road. I'm not saying that's not who Wisconsin is, but Ohio State playing well. The reason last night's UCLA performance from a Michigan State standpoint was disappointing for me was – it took away some of the evaluation you're hoping to have of a team. Like, I wanted to see Michigan State forced to fight. And
last night?
Yeah.
No, I was good with that.
You're good with that?
Yeah,
well, maybe that was best. But now Ohio State may be feeling good about themselves because what you want to see from Michigan State and where they've been pretty consistent and outside of the Minnesota games on the road, outside of the Minnesota game on the road and maybe Wisconsin on the road, is when they're playing that tier just below them, which might be the second round NCAA tournament game. Is there any risk of an upset? Do they take care of that team? Do they handle that team? And Ohio State will be a good test of that. That's a tournament level team, but not probably won't be as high as a 6 seed, but you get my point. And then obviously the road, Purdue, we'll see where they are headspace-wise. Mackey's tough. Indiana on the road's always tough for Michigan State. And then the Michigan game will be the game where that's the next chance to see where I love that game being where it is. And there will be nothing to play for in terms of Big Ten championship. Michigan's going to win that now going away. And
I'm not talking about Michigan.
But it will be a chance to see where they are right before the postseason, playing one of the teams that has a chance to win a national championship and doing so on the road. Like, it won't be on the road if they place that level team in the postseason, but that is as adverse a situation as you can face. A rival who's, to this point in the season, shown to be better than you, and there's no question about that. And you're doing it on the road to end the season, so that's the last impression. Like, that's an important game to me for Michigan State to show for itself that it doesn't have to win that game even, but that needs to be a really competitive game down the stretch for Michigan State to know its ceiling is high enough to do something special.
What did you think about Trey Fort last night? Did I see him running some point?
You saw Jordan Scott at the point.
Was it Jordan Scott? Okay.
Yeah. So it was funny. Jordan Scott plays the point. They hadn't practiced at all. I had talked to it was Thomas Kelly post-practice, and he had said that Scott would be the next choice there, but they had not worked on it. And apparently Denham Wojcik dinged up his shoulder or whatever, so they went to Jordan Scott. And I talked to Scott in the locker room, and he was like, yeah, well, I played, we hadn't practiced it. When they told me I was going to go in, I was like trying to run through the sets in my head as the point guard, because you think about it, if you've been practicing one way, at the 2 and the 3 only, and now you've got to remember what they are as the point guard, that's different. He said, well, but I played point guard 85% of the time in high school. And I asked Cohen Carr about that. And he said, but all of us play point guard 85% of the time in high school. That's just sort of what it is. Just a very different level. And Scott acknowledged that. But I think he is somebody who's got the ability, because he's a smart player, and I don't think he'll play outside of himself, which I think is important. That's to me the difference between a Trey Fort and a Jordan Scott. I think they trust Jordan Scott more than they do Trey Fort. I think they trust that Jordan Scott's not going to do something he's not comfortable doing at that position or can't do at this level. And again, I don't think it'll be a lot of minutes, but the danger for MSU, and the reason I think Jordan Scott playing some point is important, is you are going to find a game maybe along the way where Jeremy Fears is in foul trouble. And you're going to need 7 or 8 minutes. And it's a matchup that doesn't work for Denim Wojcik for 7 or 8 minutes. And you need to put your best 5 on the floor that you have available, and that's going to include Jordan Scott at the point. So I think that's an important thing for them to dabble in a little bit and make sure they have some faith in and some experience with, and Scott being comfortable in probably in a more competitive.
So how
game.
serious is this Denim Wojcik's shoulder injury?
I have no idea. There was not a single follow-up question about it. I feel.
You raising your voice at me?
Are you raising your voice at me?
All right, let's take a quick break. We will come back with Ant Wright. Our Wednesday show presented by our friends at Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar in Front 43 Neighborhood Pub.
Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at GoMuskox.com, where Couch and the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF.
Please like and subscribe to the Couch and the Rube YouTube channel. Also, download podcast episodes wherever you get your podcasts. For sponsorship opportunities, email Jason at couchandtherube.com.
Couch in the Rube, our Wednesday afternoon show presented by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar just north of Frandor on East Saginaw in Lansing, near the Lansing-East Lansing border. Cask & Company for reservations. Great reservation system, and highly recommend that, especially Thursday through Saturday night when they get a little busy. Great place to watch a game, date night, whatever it may be. Very pleased now to be joined by media mogul and ball knower Ant Wright, who the first time I ever really was aware of Ant was back in the day, Jason, when I was covering Western Michigan and lived in Kalamazoo. Yeah. And so Ant, a lot of people know, played for Michigan through 2010. He also spent 1 year at Toledo. And I was one of the great backdoor covers of all time. It was a game in 2011. Toledo was down 43-5 at one point at Western Michigan. I think the spread was like 13.5 or something like that. And they wound up losing by 12. Ant had, I think, like 11 in the game. And I was at that game and still remember thinking that, I mean, it was one of the, I feel bad for anybody who had Western Michigan. Up 43-5, you ought to be safe to cover a 13.5 point spread. They did not. Ant, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Do you remember that game at Western Michigan in 2011?
Man. Absolutely. Yeah, man. The Toledo was one of the hardest years of my life, probably, but one of the most rewarding. Gained a lot of relationships, and but like I was like maybe 30% healthy that year. Like half the time, coach didn't have me practice. He would just say, "Hey, watch practice, then go to the pool afterwards to get your cardio in." Because I just didn't have a lot left. I had so much going on, and I remember that game. I remember at halftime, it was definitely rough. And I think I had all 11 in the second half. We brought it to like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Like, we almost won.
Yeah, it was incredible.
We almost won that game. Yeah, that's the only game that I've ever fouled out also.
That's amazing.
I believe all 5 fouls came in the second half. But, no, I was I kind of turned up a little bit, got the guys involved, and, yeah, it was like a 3 or 4 point game, and there was in my opinion, a really bad call that went the wrong way, and then Western kind of, finished us off. But, man, that's a throwback.
Yeah, no, those were fun Western teams too. That was like the Juwan Howard Jr. year. That was I forget, with Flanard, Whitfield, all those guys. It was good. Those are fun days.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely
fun days. You were at Michigan during the 2007 Ohio State team, and obviously the 2005 Illinois team was just before you. But I'm wondering, when you watch this Michigan basketball team and what they did last night, I mean, they've had some really impressive moments, but this was a built-up game against, I think they're better than Purdue, but you got to go to Mackey and show it. And they did. I'm wondering what last night showed you, and where, in your mind, of Big Ten teams you've seen they compare against.
Here's what I'll say. So last night, like even before the game, it pissed off a lot of people, but I don't really care. I said that I'm not going to learn much from Michigan tonight. I'm going to learn everything from Purdue. I felt that if Michigan just played their regular game, they were going to win. But I feel like Purdue had a lot on the line because they struggled so much with athleticism and speed and quickness and high talented players. And that's kind of what happened there in the first half, where they kind of got behind 20, and Michigan kind of just did enough to keep them at arm's length. I don't think it was ever closer than 8 after that. They kind of controlled the game. They kind of did what they did, which kind of says to how good they are, is that I'm like, okay, if they just play okay at a top 10 at Mackey Arena, which I think is top 3 in the country when it comes to environment, just shows how good they are. Shows how good they are. And when we're talking about teams in the past, people may disagree, but this is just from like a personal feel standpoint. It feels like a more souped up, like an evolved form of Kelvin Sampson's Indiana team in 07-08.
Oh, I remember that. Okay,
but way better. Remember, like, Sampson got let go, and then Dockage took over and threw the thing in the trash can.
And that was the Eric Gordon team, and absolutely,
yeah,
yep.
Like Eric Gordon and DJ in the middle, and they had Crawford. But I feel like that, except better. I feel like that Indiana team, and this is what I get when I'm watching Michigan, which you don't really get in the Big Ten and at Michigan, is I feel every time I'm watching the game, I'm like, nobody, I feel, is positionally outmatched ever.
No, they're
ever.
Yeah,
ever.
They are the matchup-proof team that you rarely find. I mean, that's the dream, right? I mean, to be that sort
exactly.
Yeah, that is the dream.
I just feel like I get it's really hard to explain, but I just the testosterone is oozing through my PC or my TV when I'm watching them play. I feel like I'm watching grown men. I don't feel like I'm watching boys play. It doesn't feel like I'm watching 19, 20-year-olds play. I feel like I'm watching grown men, the way that how physical they are, how athletic they are, how fast they are, at every position. And you don't really see that. And usually you have those teams where a couple guys come in, you're like, man, where's the offense going to come from? I've never felt that way one time, where I'm like, out of all 9 of these guys, if they have a shot, I kind of think it's going to go in, or they're going to get the rebound and get it put back anyway, type of deal. But yeah.
So people have tried to. I mean, what Dusty May has put together this year is hard to do. Like, you can have the resources, but we've seen Kentucky try to put something together like this. We've seen Brad Underwood a year ago fail at putting together something like this, where you have to, when you're using the portal this heavily, and Michigan's got some holdovers, which I think helps and sort of underrated in their story. But when you're using the portal this heavily, you can get it wrong. You can get it wrong in terms of culture and fit and guys who are in it for the right reasons. And that, I mean, it's one reason I think, wondering how it'll duplicate will be interesting to watch. But when you look at this roster, what do they have beyond talent? And when did you know, like, okay, they have the goods in terms of wanting to be out there, wanting to play together, wanting to do this for the right reasons to let this work?
The St. John's exhibition was really telling for me. Like, even when they went out and got these guys who, 3 are going to end up NBA guys probably this spring and summer, but 2 of them weren't really in a big role last year. Even if you look at Cadeau, when he announced that he was transferring, most UNC fans are like, "Don't let the door hit you, buddy."
Yeah.
So, like, it's not like he was getting all these star players. Yaxel is a completely different story. Dusty stole him from the NBA. Dusty stole him from the NBA, but for like Morez and Mara, like these guys were like role players, very role player guys. I think Mara was putting up like 12 or 13 points a game. No, minutes a game. 12 or 13 minutes a game at UCLA, and Morez was, he was in more like a backup role last year, and then was starting for a bit, but then he got hurt. So, and his role was in question moving forward, and Cadeau fans were like, "Hey, let's move on from Cadeau." So it's, being able to see what these guys can offer, and then be able to tap into that, I think is rare. But it's also twice as rare for these guys to come together. You've got a core group that came back and that was retained. Even from the Jawan years, like Cheese and Namari are Jawan guys, right? To get them to still stay after an 8-win season. 8. And this is the year they started like 4-0 or something. And they end up going 8-24. And you have pieces from that team who are staying and now being able to experience something like this. For everybody to be on the same page, I think is truly special.
I think
it's so easy to get wrong.
I think Morez.
It's so easy to get wrong.
I think Morez. Sorry to interrupt there. I think Morez was the key there too in a lot of ways, because he provides a level of physicality, and I mean you saw it last night when he had 11 rebounds, and he was. I don't know. I just think that was he did. There's certain guys who either make your team more athletic because they're of a certain athlete, or they give you a different identity. Like, he allows Mara to be who Mara needs to be. I don't know. I just think the Johnson get was as big as anything he did in this offseason. Is there a team? So when you start to look forward with Michigan, and they're going to win this Big Ten title going away at this point, what is the fear for them? Now, we've seen the hot shooting Wisconsin team get them. We've seen them in a couple close games. Nebraska, even shorthanded, played them tough. They had a game where they didn't really show up against Penn State. But I just don't think that in the NCAA tournament is going to be something that happens to them. What is, when you have a fairly matchup-proof team, but you have like, to me, college basketball is as good as I can remember it in a little while in terms of the top of the whole thing. Like, there are years that this Michigan team would just be the runaway favorite, and this year there's some other teams. Is there a fear that you would have for this group in the postseason?
So, watching the games that have been kind of close-ish, I think there's been maybe 3 or 4 of them, somewhere in there. what you notice about those games is that these are teams that have been able to slow the game down a bit, been able to stop Michigan in transition, like limit opportunities. When Michigan's flowing, you're not going to win. You're not going to win the game. And you got to hit jump shots. That's from mid-range and from three. I know a lot of teams, they scheme to only shoot threes and paint, but Michigan is so good defensively, you're just not going to be able to score in the paint very well. With Mara, Morez can guard 1 through 5. Yaxel can guard 1 through 4 and some 5s. And those aren't even the centers. Right? They have Mara at 7'3", 7'4", who blocks everything. I remember one possession, TKR gave Mara everything he could, every pump fake, spin move, everything. Mara just tips it in the air and grabs the ball. Like, just crazy things. And then defensively, they have big athletic guards. Namari, Roddy Gale, LJ Kaysen, these guys are pit bulls defensively too. You've got to be able to hit the mid-range shot, and you got to be able to hit threes. And you got to want to shoot the mid-range. Like, maybe not take that extra dribble or two, right? Take the 14, 15-footer. I know it's less efficient from an analytical standpoint, but for Michigan, you've got to be able to hit that shot, or else you could go in the teeth of the defense and shoot 35% from there if you want to.
I want to ask you about Michigan State, who, I think there have been years where this Michigan State team would look like a Final Four team. Again, I think college basketball is better than it's been. And, if they shoot well, they're on a given night, they're capable, they've shown, of probably beating just about anybody. But, that comes and goes. What the best case scenario for Michigan State the rest of the way is what?
Best case scenario, Cohen Carr and Scott. I think those two guys need to really step up. And I know it's asking a lot of Carr since he's a junior at this point. I just think with his athletic ability, he can always impact the game. Always. I think he has had the highest motor on the court, and I think his athletic ability will just take care of a lot of things. He needs to go to the foul line a lot more. He needs to get a lot more rebounds. And then, hey, Izzo's all in on him shooting open shots. Keep that confidence, but, continue to finish around the rim. Establish the bigs better between Coop and, Kohler. But, the most important player, I think, I would say him, Yaxel, and Braden Smith. Like, Jeremy Fears is so important to Michigan State. Like, he's got to be able to continue to get the most out of his teammates. And I think we saw a lot of that last night when he was getting guys the ball when and where they needed it. I think he shot pretty well from three, right? He was like, 4 for 7 or 4 for 8? Yeah, so like him being able to knock down the three ball, getting to the foul line and just causing chaos, he's the guy. He is the puppeteer. And guard play is going to take you in March. I think this team can get to a second weekend, and then you do want a decent matchup. Like that's why seed lines matter so much. Like, if they're a 4, they're going to have to meet probably Arizona.
That's tough.
Or UConn in the Sweet 16, right? Do you really want that? So they have to fight like hell to get to that 3 line, I think. Because that 2 line, there's a real difference between that 1 and 2, in my opinion. Some years it's about even, but I think you can really fight for that too. Like, I would love to see them against Iowa State. I think that will be a great matchup for them in like a 2-3 type of thing, and then hope that over in the 1-4 that's really like a 8-12 matchup. Right?
Right, yeah.
You never know. Like, look, the tournament is so wacky, right? You just want to be able to do your job and then just hope for good matchups moving forward. If a good team loses in front of you, people are gonna be like, "Oh, you had the easiest path." Well, they didn't do their job. That is not our fault. You know.
Yeah, and I think the other thing for Michigan State is that they've shown that, I think they're capable, even more so than last year's team. Like, people ask me about the comparison between this year and last year's team. I think head-to-head, it's an interesting matchup. I think there are elements of last year's team with the guard play that would cause this year's team's problems, even though Fears is a better point guard and their bigs are a little bit better this year. But I think in terms of their ability to knock off the top teams, the line I always use is the Auburn team they lost to in the Elite Eight last year. I think last year's team beats 2, maybe 3 times out of 10. I think this year's team beats them close to half the time because they're just bigger, they're longer, they'd match up better. And so what I wonder is what I'm thinking with this team is, if you're right, if you can avoid that 1 seed and you've only got to have one night that goes perfectly to knock one of them off to get to a Final Four, that's such a difference than having to do it in the Sweet 16 and then also even if it's a 2 waiting for it. I just think, I think Michigan State at best probably has one of those nights in them. I don't know. I don't see them as a team that can do it repeatedly, which is what it takes to win it all. Unless, as you brought up, Carr and Scott, I think what Cohen Carr did last night, even though it was a home game against a somewhat disinterested UCLA team, because it was a carryover of an offensive performance against Wisconsin, I think that has a little bit of merit. His confidence is high. If you can get Scott shooting and improving their efficiency, I think that makes a big difference. But they seem to me to be a team that does have. In this particular year of college basketball, there's a ceiling to them. Do you agree?
Yeah. I do agree with that. But that's the nice thing about the tournament is that it's not a best of 3. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, who's the best in this 40 minutes? And then, call it a day. Do I take Fears over a lot of point guards this year? Absolutely. And if Fears is able to win his matchup, the chances for Michigan State go through the roof.
Last thing, anybody else in the Big Ten? I think Illinois, it's unfortunate for them in some ways that Michigan exists this year, because I think this is a pretty dang good Illinois team that, if they're healthy, has a chance. They've got the size. They've got a really good guard, and I don't know. Do you think Illinois is a team with the upside of a national championship?
I think so. Absolutely. I think Illinois is up there. Of course, Michigan, and then I think there is a drop off.
Yeah.
To like a second tier after that, where I'd probably stick with Purdue and Michigan State on that second tier, even though Nebraska's record, is very, very having a very good year, but still, I can see that they're just not on the same level as Purdue and Michigan State. So I would put them on that third tier, probably alongside Wisconsin. But who knows, man? You just want to get to a Final Four and then just win 2 games. That's all it comes down to. I think this is the best year that Michigan's had since probably 2015 and 2014, in my opinion. When you're looking at that Wisconsin team in 2015, and when you're looking at 3 Big Ten teams in that Elite Eight in 2014, and you let Kevin Ollie come out of there with it, it kind of hurts.
Boy.
Kind of hurts, but it's tough. It's tough to swallow. But this is the first real one. I think in 21, Michigan should have gone to a Final Four. I think they beat Gonzaga, but I think Baylor eats them up. When you're looking at the year with UConn just being just insurmountable, running over Illinois and that Purdue team. It's just sometimes you just got to tip your cap, man. It's like, hey, look, you've been the best team all year. You got it. The only way someone else was winning. Well, of course, the only way that Purdue was going to win the national championship was if someone knocked off that UConn team, and it just wasn't happening. They were just too perfectly built of a team, and they were so consistent.
No, you can have bad luck. You can have bad. You've got to find a year where you've got a path. There's no question about it.
Yes, absolutely.
And I appreciate it, man. Always enjoy the knowledge and following you. And it's Ant Wright on X. I think a lot of people know, and always a good way to get good takes and good opinions and informed opinions on college hoops and the Big Ten. Appreciate you, man.
All right, have a good one. Appreciate you too.
All right, any takeaways from that, my friend?
It's just fascinating that the stuff you can remember off the top of that gambling thing, like the Toledo Ant Wright being in the game.
Because
you can't remember certain things when we do these shows.
I don't remember last week. Right. No,
it always fascinates me.
So that game against Toledo, Western Michigan Toledo in 2011, he was like, I remember in that second half him playing, and it was the most bizarre game. It was almost the worst case scenario. That Toledo team was, by the way, really bad. They were not, and they were. It was like a Kowalczyk's maybe first year at Toledo, and they just had some sort of scandal with Gene Cross, the former coach, had been there. You know, they'd fired Stan Joplin. They had gone to Cross, and I think it was Kowalczyk's first year. But I
believe you.
Thank you. I'll break it down later for people. But it was one of those things where if Western Michigan had just been up 17 at the half instead of getting up 43-5, they win that game by 30. But it's when you're up 43-5, it is hard to keep your edge, and they just weren't focused.
What about the team that has 5? What's the halftime in that locker room?
You're trying not to be embarrassed at that point, right?
Well, you already are.
Yeah,
5 points in a whole half of basketball.
Well, there's a little more than that, but it was like 43-5 with like 4 minutes to go in the first half or something. So I forget. Halftime was bad, but it wasn't quite to that extent.
By the way, during that interview, someone dropped their column. Your boy, Triple G, Greg Doyle from the Indy Star. UCLA's Mick Cronin, the cruelest coach in college basketball, humiliated a player and reporter last night at Michigan State. He's even meaner behind the scenes. At practice, NBA scouts told me that. It's in here. Column.
Love it.
That's your boy.
Doyle.
Is Triple G, Greg Doyle, the only person that can make you defend Mick Cronin? Like if Cronin did that to Greg Doyle, I'd be like, do you know what? Cronin's not a bad guy. I like the suits that he wears.
So Doyle
doesn't look like a penis.
Doyle made a mistake, obviously, with the Caitlin Clark situation.
A mistake.
He obviously, but Doyle's a good dude. He's not a bad guy.
I understand that. He's a little weird, right?
We're all a little weird.
But isn't Mick Cronin a little weird? I mean, come on. Doesn't Greg Doyle have him out weirded?
But how you treat people matters, right? And that's the thing. If you can be weird without being an ass, that's important.
Ooh, that's tough.
You know, like it's fine to be weird. It's
creepy
fine to be a little
weird.
Well, creepy's not ideal.
Creepy weird is another level. Like,
what would you rather be, creepy or a jerk?
I'd rather be a jerk.
Yeah, probably too.
I mean, what are we talking about? Like, if I'm throwing up heart signs at Caitlin Clark, like, I get it. What he was trying to do, like, he's all about love and positivity. And Greg, I understand that. There's a place for that in this world, but you have to understand. You have to have some self-awareness is all, you know?
No question. Yeah. So in the Cronin situation, I mean, my problem with Mick Cronin is that Matt Wenzel is overall doing his job better than Mick Cronin is. So, like, I'm sorry, Mick. Like,
but he doesn't know Matt,
you're not doing well with this particular group. And I don't know. It's a moment like that when he chose. I understand reacting to a question you don't love in a situation you're unhappy with poorly, or at least that's a dumb question, or being annoyed or whatever, and not.
Are you raising your voice at me?
It's the escalation. It's the choice to escalate that pisses me off, and that's all it is. These coaches are all.
Because Wenzel said, "I'll take it," and that's when Cronin felt he had to come back.
Well, that's
if
Wenzel
he would have just said,
say. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But if Cronin would have just said, "Stupid question, next," right, we wouldn't be talking about it right now. But
100%,
anyway.
yeah, no, it's.
Would you rather be creepy or a jerk? It sounds like a question that's going to happen on Friday.
Yeah,
there's no fun answer.
I don't know. I think I'd
just rather be a jerk. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I've been the jerk, so it's like I know what it would take. I would just rather be a jerk, and so people don't like me than a creeper.
I would rather be. I'd rather. I want it to be more nuanced than that. I would like to be if I had to be one or the other. I want to be a jerk to certain people, but not others. Like I wouldn't want to be a jerk to children. Then again, you don't want to be creepy with children either. There's a guy who once coached a 6 and under soccer team with kids who weren't his own.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
The other coaches are like, he's showing up again?
Yeah.
I don't know. Should we tell him?
Well, that in that
have
case,
to have a child.
Instead of
you show up to family swim at a pool with no child?
I'm learning the elementary backstroke,
guys. If I wear a Speedo, or you guys mind? That's not weird, right?
What the fuck? It's that's why I was a jerk instead of a creep to those kids and the opposing teams.
Tripping them.
We did do it wrong. I think back to that season with the 6-year-olds. We at the end were playing to win rather than teaching them the positions really well.
Playing to win what?
Other games against other 6-year-olds.
Why?
Because it was fun.
You hardos.
Well, we weren't playing. We were giving them all the same amount of time.
No, it's like when I go watch my nephew play basketball and like his dad's out there and he's like, "Come on,
well, no,
come on, Desmond, come on, make sure you."
So you do
proper form. I'm like, the fucking kid's 7.
It's all about tact. I should teach a class on this because too many parents, I think, get out there and you're either one of two things. You get out there, and I actually commend the ones who are trying to teach them positional soccer,
right,
and getting
at
killed
6.
and getting killed for it. But the ones who are like so fired up and like, oh, we got to win. This is important to win. That's a jackass move. The one who aren't playing every kid the same amount of minutes because they're trying to win. That's a jerk move. You have to do it within the parameters. We played every kid. We gave every kid cool opportunities. We made sure everybody got all the playing time, and we were excited whether they screwed up or did well for them. So you have to treat it like that. But you can do little things. Like we had this kid, Eliza, who was just a little spitfire. She must be like 11 now. Incredible. Wait till she gets to the Grand Ledge High School circuit. She's going to dominate.
Calm down. All right. Relax.
Anyway, we realized that if we put her at defense, she could also score and get back on defense. And so we started, juking the system a little bit to win some games. That's all.
Oh, watch out for the high schools, boys, huh? I mean, it just gets weird.
It's weird.
It just tiptoes into water where even me, I'm like,
you feel awkward.
Clutching my pearls, as the one guy said, right? It's like, anyway.
It's yeah. Anyway,
what are we talking about?
Well, I was going to ask you.
Cronin. Yeah. Never mind. I should teach a class about that. Like you wonder why, the smug ass of these sports writers, like the fact that this one of them's on his sports podcast. Go, I should write a class, or I should teach a class on this.
Is there anything else that Ant said that like surprised you or anything like that?
Well, he said Michigan's good,
which they are.
Yeah. Sucks.
I do think for a Michigan State fan like this, a lot of this postseason is going to be twofold.
Watching that game against Purdue last night, it was just helpless. Like I figured, Purdue had a shot. I saw a lot of people I respect laying some money on Purdue -1.5 or something like that.
Michigan,
I don't know.
No, I thought about
tough. Man.
I thought about tweeting it out. I didn't bet it myself. I just had a real good feel about Michigan in that game, being fired up to do it. And they just the matchup. Like I think Michigan State's matchup with Purdue is pretty favorable to Michigan State too. I do not like this Purdue team physically. I don't think they are athletic enough. I don't think they're strong enough, and that's a problem. Like Michigan State has a much better chance to me against Michigan than Purdue does, just in terms of matchups and who they are physically, and so I think that's a problem for Purdue in the postseason, and that's why I think Michigan State has a chance on a given day to play up. But I think getting to a 3 seed is important, and that's where winning at Purdue, like, one of our show listeners tweeted at us this morning about sort of liking that there was no pressure, not a lot to play for in these last few games. They could just play and improve, and there is that to some degree. They're not playing for a Big Ten title or anything. I do think, though, like if you win at Purdue, you win at Indiana, those sort of things
But
matter.
you're playing for seeding, like you mentioned at the beginning of the show.
I think that's important.
You want to be that 3 seed to avoid those, like you mentioned.
You don't want to be before and play a 1 seed in that Sweet 16. Now, you can argue that if you've got to beat 1 seed to get to the Final Four, it doesn't matter if you play them in the Sweet 16 or the Final 8. I would argue you want to wait as long as you can. Give them as many chances to be upset by somebody else. And then also, what is Izzo's great strength over time? It is the second game of weekends, right? That's where he's historically been famous for out-coaching people and having an incredible record on that quick turn and how they do it. And again, it may not make a difference in this setting, but you would want all the things you can want to be in your favor before you face the most elite teams in college basketball. And to me, if you're Michigan State, that's getting to a 3 seed. That's allowing you not to play in a 4-5 matchup in the second round. Now, again, you may face Wisconsin, a 6 seed. Now, they're not going to the scheduling won't put Wisconsin in the second round, but you know what I mean? You might face a team that's capable of beating you, certainly. But I think these games do matter. And in terms of Michigan State's chances in the postseason, because I think, getting that 3 makes a big difference. That's Jason writing us off.
You got anything else?
Not good.
Let's figure that was a good way to end.
That's it.
That's an hour.
We will we'll be back on Friday with your Groovy Donut Twitter questions as well. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate Ant Wright. Thanks to Front 43 and Cask & Company. Go to caskandcompany.com. You make a reservation. or just swing on by and enjoy a beer, enjoy their great modern American Asian menu. I love their sushi bowls there. It's just incredible. Their pad thai is incredible. Great burgers, great beer. Front 43 and Cask and Company. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Room.
Are you raising your voice at me?